Hey people, welcome to Escape the J Curve podcast. This is episode number 1 and I am Rohan Nag. So this is the first episode. I'm really excited to get this episode to you people and explaining a few things about the podcast. So the number one thing obviously is what is the J curve and why would people want to escape it? And why am I calling my podcast Escape the J Curve? Well, let me explain. So, in business, there is a graph called the J curve, which denotes the cash flows versus cash inflows versus cash outflows of a business. And in most cases, it takes a business about 4 to 5 years to become profitable. So, in the first 4 years, the business loses or bleeds cash, and in the fifth year, it manages to become profitable. So, that is basically the J curve. And the reason why I called my podcast Escape the J curve because that was the traditional way of building businesses where you are you have access to a lot of cash. You spend those cash in something which in most cases the business uses that cash to acquire customers, and after they have reached a certain threshold of customers they start making profit. But that's an old way to look at businesses. So from my experience and from my learning, I have found that there is a better way to build a business without wasting tons of cash. And that is through direct marketing or content marketing on the internet. And that is what I'm going to talk about in my podcast in the subsequent episodes. How do you use direct marketing to start a business profitably? I'm going to share my experiences. I'm going to have people on the podcast who have experienced this period of radical improvement in cash flows in their businesses, and we are going to note everything down on what led to their success. So I hope that it is clear on why I call my podcast Escape the J Curve. Now, we know why this podcast is called Escape the J Curve. Now, who am I? And why do you want to listen to me rant? There are plenty of internet marketing podcasts online. There are plenty of marketing podcasts online. There is plenty of self-help or improvement podcasts online. Why would you want to listen to me? So, I am going to take you through my personal story of how I got this idea that online direct marketing is the best way to build an online business, or the most profitable way to build a profitable business. And I'm going to take you through my personal story so that you identify with the struggles or the inner demons that I faced and where I am right now. So I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying I have done everything. I'm not saying that I've built an immensely successful business. But from what I hear in the internet, it's mostly people who have made it. But it's going to be a story of me who is sharing what he is learning. So I'm going to go through this journey with you people, share everything that I've learned, and build a community of people who are helping each other in growing a successful online business or just becoming a better version of themselves. So that's my reason to build this podcast, to share what I learned, to grow with people, to help people grow, and also so that people can help me grow and learn, and to find a tribe, a community of people who are committed to helping each other. Now, why am I running this podcast, and what are my goals? So let me take you through a story or a personal experience that really woke me up in 2019. So before I get started, I'm Rohan Nag. I'm a tech consultant. I'm based out of Bangalore, India, and this is my story. So I'm talking about a period which is October 2019, and it was a very, very special celebration for Indians called Diwali. And I had all my friends to my house, and we were playing around with firecrackers, having a good laugh, and discussing silly things and just having a good time. And that's what it looked like on the surface, but internally I was not there at all. So before Diwali, before 2019 Diwali, I had a period of about 2 to 3 months where I was questioning what I was doing with my life. So I had a good job. I was traveling 2 to 3 times a year. I was making good money, but it felt like there is something missing, that something is not right deep down inside. And this was aggravated during Diwali 2019, where I was with my friends, but all I could think of was, wow, this is such a waste of my time. You know, I get this feeling that I have not done enough with my life and I could be doing more. And, we're just sitting there talking about silly things which have no repercussions in improving our lives, and, yeah, like politically correct topics and laughing. But I felt like, wow, this seems to be such a waste of my time. And then after a couple of hours, my friend had left, and I was on my bed trying to go to sleep. And there were Diwali celebrations going on outside, and people were bursting firecrackers and loud noises and all those things. And my friends were texting me, I'm just getting back home. It was a good time, but I could not go to sleep. I was thinking, what is going wrong? Why am I feeling this way when, if you ask anybody else looking from outside, they would say, Rohan, you have a great life. Okay, you have a great life. But I felt like there was something missing. So I realized what was going on, what I was missing a couple of months afterwards, and I did some research and what was going on. But at that point, I had no idea. Excuse me. So, yeah, it was pretty bad. And then I tried to quantify it. I tried to figure out, you know, so my mind's pretty logical. So every emotion I feel, I try to bring it down to something quantifiable, something tangible, so that it makes sense to me and that emotion goes away. So what I did was I looked at um, the thing that can be the most easily quantified, and that thing is money. So I wrote down my income, and I figured out that I was about the top 1% income earners in India. And by every consideration by Indian government taxing regulations, I'm probably in the highest tax brackets, and the Indian government would consider my income level to be quite well off. But then I had certain numbers written down. So I imagined the best possible life for me and what I'm missing in my life and how much money I would need to fulfill those goals. And then I calculated how long it will take me at my current income level to get that much money stored and that much money saved. So the numbers quite literally destroyed me. According to my calculation, I would almost never get there. Like I would retire before I make that much money. Uh, you know, uh, that would it would take to fulfill all my goals, and that's not considering any other big uh, challenges that I might be facing realistically, like a global economic meltdown, or me getting into a car accident and not being able to work for 6 months, and job loss, or, I didn't think of that. But as we can clearly see, a global pandemic which is happening, which has eroded a lot of capital and destroyed economies. And of course, I didn't know it back in October 2019, but it's certainly a reality in June 2020. So, so I realized that, yeah, I'm not on the correct path financially to be where I want to be. And that was a wake up call. But that was not the only thing which I realized later on. I was just living a life of uh, zero engagement and zero meaning and zero purpose. I didn't have something which would excite me to get up in the morning, which would, you know, make me very excited to go to work, very excited to scream to the people around me, like, look, I'm doing this and it's going to help a lot of people and it's going to help me and we are going to be having a positive impact on the world. And I'm going to quote Henry David Thoreau, and he said, the mass of men live the life of quiet desperation. And that was what was happening to me back then. So I was vastly disappointed in what I was doing for work and how meaningless it was. And I decided to change that. So what I decided to do was, uh, and so the reason why I was not doing it is a bulk load of bad habits that have been, accumulating over the years, and I'm going to talk about that later. But I'll tell you what I decided to do. So what I decided to do was I decided to launch my own business on top of what I was doing at the time, and I decided that did a cost benefit analysis of various businesses that are available. So e-commerce being one of them, internet marketing, social media marketing, print on demand services, affiliate marketing. So I did a cost benefit analysis and I figured out e-commerce businesses would be the way for me forward because uh, I have a daytime job, so I didn't want to expose my personality, or I didn't want to expose my name doing something that I was doing as a side business. That was number one. Number two, some of the other businesses that I thought of requires a lot of capital to set up, a lot of experience to run, and things of that nature. But I figured that e-commerce businesses, which are based on drop shipping, have brilliant margins, and they do not require you to warehouse or store your own products. They do not need a lot of experience. You can build a e-commerce website with Shopify in half an hour, and all you need to do is learn Facebook marketing, and then you can start getting sales and start making some money, and then you can use that money in the future to hire some more people and set up operations and things of that nature. So that was the plan. So I built up my, so I researched which niche I should go for in the e-commerce business. I decided on one. I set up my website. I found suppliers uh, on one of the biggest drop shipping websites, and I had the website up and running, and I was almost ready to ship. I was like, fingers crossed, I'm going to launch this business, and this is going to work. Maybe not now, maybe in 6 months down the line. Then everything was destroyed. Mother Nature said, no, 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 I'm not going to let you launch a business. I'm not going to let you do e-commerce right now. I am going to put the entire economy on hold because of this virus we called COVID-19. And of course, everything was shut down, and sending products to customers was almost impossible since they were. My plan was to outsource them from China. So I was like, wow, I decided to launch a business, and this happens. And I don't know when things will go back to normal. I don't know if I can run this business ever again. I don't know how the world is going to change after this. So what am I going to do? And yeah, I was doing my research. Initially, I had given up hope. Like, I have to stick to my day job and not run a business. Then I heard about someone called Mr. Russell Brunson, who is the founder of ClickFunnels, one of the leading funnel building software available online. And then I realized that he built a software as a service business off of a content marketing business, which really shook me. So the way he sells his product is he has various digital products, and he sends people to buy his digital products or to buy his books. And when people buy his books or his digital products or his information products, they get into his email list. And when they get into an email list, they send them through an email marketing strategy, and they upsell the ClickFunnel as a product, which is about $99 a month. The base level product is about $99 a month. And I found out that in his business, it takes about $12 to acquire a customer. Now he has like millions of customers who use his product monthly. I think it's about 7 million now. So imagine the cost of marketing that he would have required, and the time it would have taken him to build up to this business if he did not use direct marketing and content marketing. So imagine 6 million people and $12 per customer. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars to acquire those customers. But instead, what he did, he spent ads on Facebook or whichever marketing tool he was using to get them to buy a product which was say $12. So essentially what he's doing, he is getting a customer for free and then using email marketing as a tactic. He had acquired those customers almost for a very little, like a fraction of the cost that it would have taken him if he had venture capital funding, for example. So that was amazing. That blew my mind. And I decided to try this out for myself. And, I was under lockdown, and it was, you're cut off from your friends, you're cut off from your family, you're cut off. You cannot go to the gym, you cannot watch a movie. So that's a good thing because you can use that time to focus on something that you want to build. So, as I said, I had no particular goals or no particular mission in life or something that excited me in October 2019. But in January, February, March, April, May, I started to look at businesses differently, and I have plenty of time and to think about what business should I go into and how do I structure it. And that changed my thinking completely. So I did a lot of good things, if I may call them, in the time that I had, when the time that I had for friends or family or watching a movie was completely taken out. That I took that time to do something productive. So currently I am writing a book which I'll complete in about 7 days, and I will highlight all my findings of the COVID lockdown in that book, and a lot of very interesting things, a lot of very interesting research, a lot of very interesting findings that I had on the internet marketing. I'm going to lay it all out step by step in that book, and which is going to be available very soon. I managed to quit smoking. I had this habit for 20 years, but uh, during lockdown, I managed to kick this habit. I've tried 50,000 times in the past, but not been able to do that. And I've built in various habits, good habits that is going to help me in the future to build or run a successful businesses. And on top of that, I've managed to and yeah, I'm launching this podcast. So lots of good things have happened during the COVID-19 lockdown for me. So I'm grateful, and this is a journey I want to share with you guys. What have I been doing in the COVID-19 lockdown? How can you use this to benefit your life? If you can learn some lessons uh, from my from my experiences and use this in your own life to improve it. And that's what we're going to talk about in this podcast. So thanks for listening in. Okay, this is the last segment of the podcast. I promise. This is the last segment of the podcast for the first episode, and we're going to talk about why am I doing this? What's the purpose of having this podcast, and what can you expect from the show so that you can tune in the future if you have enjoyed episode one. So here we go. Why am I doing this? As I mentioned in the first segment, I am doing this to build a group of similar minded people who can help each other uh, learn and grow and build a better version of themselves. Number two, this podcast is from a perspective of someone who is trying to make it in online businesses but who has not made it yet. So, uh, so we are all in this together. Number three, I have access to uh, to a tribe of people who are on a similar journey and who are also trying to make it big in online businesses, and that can be done, and we all can be successful. So we are going to learn from each other, from the group of people who have learned or mastered some very specific part of building online businesses like funnel or Facebook ads or YouTube ads or retargeting, how to brand, whatever it is. And we are going to interview these people and we are going to take the key lessons, and it's not going to be coming from people who are already successful and who are blind to the reason why they're successful. There was a study which was conducted on people who are successful. I think it was published in the book, The Winner Effect, and it said that successful people don't often know why they're successful, which is sad because we look up to these people, we want to learn from them, we want to be like them, but what they teach is seldom not what they have done to achieve success. So we are going to be talking with people who are testing things out actively, learning lessons live, and we're going to be sharing those findings with you so you are not kept in the dark. You're going to get the real deal. What can you expect from a podcast? You can expect a lot of people like you who could be doing more with their lives, but they don't know what that entails, what that means exactly. So we are going to go through these people who have the same problems as you. They are shy, they don't have a lot of capital, they had some severe challenges while they were growing up, some severe emotional problems. They're afraid of failing, afraid of being ridiculed by people. All the problems that you and I have, that these people have gone through, and we are going to discuss how to overcome them. So a lot of self-help and mindset related topics, but not from people who are trying to sell you their self-help book or business book, but from people who are trying themselves to become successful, who are in the trenches with you. And number two, we are going to be talking a lot about direct response marketing. We're going to be talking about funnel building. We're going to talk about the latest cutting edge internet marketing trends that we think is working currently, that is going to make it easy for you to see that it's possible to build a successful, profitable business together, and we can help each other do it. Well, that's about it. That's all I had to cover in the first episode of Escape the J Curve podcast. I want to connect with you. I want to know what you're doing. I want to know what your goals are. I want to know what your emotions are. I want to know how you are feeling with the COVID-19 lockdown globally. So please get in touch with me. I am on Instagram at Nag Rohan. That is NAGROHAN. Just look for me on Instagram. Just send me a DM, and we can get connected. And I want to talk about what you're trying to do. What are your goals? How can we go there together? How can we help each other to reach our goals? How can we build our own tribe? The world's divided right now. Do you see that? We are divided. We cannot even go out and congregate and talk to each other about problems. Thank God the internet exists. Thank God Anchor.fm exists. Thank God Instagram exists, so that we can at least virtually meet each other, support each other, spread some ideas on how to be better versions of yourself and how to be successful in online businesses. I'm looking to hear from you. Get in touch with me on Instagram at Nag Rohan, NAGROHAN. Thank you so much for your time.